Hey everybody, welcome back to Hayes Tech and ROM Reviews. This is the channel where we talk about pretty much anything tech. Now, looking back at all the videos I've done and looking at the ones that has gotten most views on my channel, it's been those cheaper made GoPro clones. There are quite a few of them on the market. Now, I did a couple reviews. The one I did was on the Akaso V50 Pro, which in my opinion is probably one of the best budget-minded action cameras on the market to date. And other than that, I did two other videos, and they were on the Dragon Touch Vision 3 and the Dragon Touch Vision 4. Differences between the two is basically image stabilization, things like that. So, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to go over the ThiEye. This is also the one that's advertised you can put an external microphone on it. So, what do you say we go ahead and dig into the ThiEye 4K action camera for about 100 bucks. And as always, if you liked my video, don't forget to hit that like button and share my videos. It really helps me out. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you saw, think about subscribing. And if you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell icon. That way you get a notification of my videos as soon as I release them. Now, this is not going to be an unboxing video. I might actually do one of those later on. So what I'm going to do with this video is basically just give you my first impressions on this camera. It's not going to be an in-depth, like an unboxing. I'm not going to go through all the settings on it, things like that. What I'm going to do is show you video quality of this camera. Now, the one thing you've got to remember is the ThiEye has a Sony sensor in it. Yeah, that's right. It comes with a Sony sensor. It is a 16 megapixel sensor, which is pretty dang good for the action camera market. Sony is known for their high quality video processing chips. And if you guys have watched any of my videos lately, you'll see that I have a Sony Handycam, and I like that camera so much, there's no way I'm going to get rid of it. Now, even though my wife did get it for a present for me, for a Christmas present, and of course that's going to dictate that I'm not going to get rid of it. Even if it wouldn't have been a Christmas present, I love the video quality on that camera so much, it's just no way I'm going to get rid of it. And you guys have seen in my videos a lot of examples of that camera, and I'm going to continue incorporating it into my different array of cameras that I can use day by day. So now I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to tell you what do I think of this camera right now. Don't buy it. I really do not like this camera. But with that being said, if you are looking for a camera for image quality alone, that's it. That's all you care about is image quality. Wow, is this camera freaking awesome in the image quality department. It just has so many downfalls in the other areas, like the different shooting angles that it has. It's got 3, that's it. Okay, well yes, so my Akaso V50 Pro only has 3. Yes, it does only have 3, but you can use image stabilization in every single one of them except for 4K. The only thing that image stabilization does not work in the Akaso is 4K. So 2.7K is great for me, and I get great image stabilization, and it has really nice footage. The only way I can get image stabilization on it is in 1080p, 60 frames per second or lower, and in its wide view only. And that means it's, that's it, wide view only. If you switch to medium view or even narrow view for vlogging, you have no image stabilization. That's 0, zip, nada. Why would they do that? It's not like the technology's not there. I mean, look at the stuff Sony does with cameras, like what I'm shooting with my 90D now. Why did I get my Canon 90D as opposed to the Sony a6400? Because I really liked that Sony a6400. The reason that was because I can touch anything on the screen. I can change almost every setting right from the screen of this camera, right? I mean, and it flips out. It's great. Sony just won't do it. For some reason, they got it stuck in their head. No, the only thing we allow you to do is touch to focus. That's it. You can't change anything from your screen. Why would they handicap you to just being able to touch the focus? That's freaking stupid. Come on, Sony. But again, this action camera, as far as image quality goes, I think, well, you're going to see. We're going to go ahead and jump into the different scene modes of this camera, and the weather here in central Pennsylvania right now is freaking terrible. It's snowing outside. I mean, it's just bad. And for me to take the best quality videos on this camera, I'm gonna have to do it inside under studio lights. So that's just the only thing I can do. And I've already told you that it doesn't have image stabilization, only in 1080p 60 frames per second extra wide anyway, so it's not like we're going to be testing that. I will try to put in some short vlogging videos I did outside with the camera, but with that being said, what do you say we just go ahead and jump into all the different shooting angles and let you see how this looks, because even under studio lights, this looks pretty dang good. So let's go take a look at this camera. Okay, we are now recording on the ThiEye 4K action camera, and we are shooting in 4K 24 frames per second in its super wide view. So yes, you're going to get to see most of my studio, if I can call it that anymore, because it's pretty much become a storage room because of winter. But so, you know, it is what it is. But this kind of gives you an idea of the view perspective on this camera in 4K 24 frames per second in its super wide view. So let's go ahead and switch to the 4K 30 frames per second and show you the different view modes in that. Okay, we are now shooting in 4K 30 frames per second, and this is in its wide view. It's not its super view, it's called its wide view. What I'm going to do with each one of the resolutions is I'm just going to give you a quick look at the different fields of view, and there are 3 fields of view: wide, medium, and narrow, with the exception, of course, of the 4K 24 frames per second super view. So with that super view, it gets way down there, way up there. You just get this tremendous view. Now, but the one thing I really want to bring home to all of you is to look at the quality of the image that this camera gives, okay? Now, yes, I'm using studio lights, so that's going to enhance it some, but no more than if I were outside using sunlight. Actually, if I were outside using sunlight, it would look even way better than this. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and switch over to we're going to go ahead and switch over to the medium view, and then after that, to the narrow. Okay, we are back, and this is, of course, the ThiEye 4K camera shooting in 4K 30 frames per second, and this is its medium view. Now, the medium view I don't think is too bad. I think this is one of those views where I think I could probably get used to using. It doesn't have quite as much warping on the outside edge. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and switch to the narrow mode, and that would be what you would be more likely using if you were vlogging. Now, remember, all of the video that I am taking is actually about arm's length away from me right now. A little bit more than that, just because of the way I have to set things up to give me some room to record, but this is just a hair over arm's length, okay? So let's go ahead and go to the 4K 30 narrow frame of view. Alright, I am now shooting at 4K 30 frames per second in its narrow mode. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and this is a big one, is this thing comes in this little teeny box. It's not like the Akaso V50 Pro, which comes in this huge box which has a ton of accessories. No. This comes in a little teeny box which has the camera, it has its waterproof camera case, and this is the amount of accessories you get. That's it. I think there are 3 little pick and peel packs that you can stick that this will bolt onto, and then you of course you get the back panel on this that allows it to breathe a little bit. But that's it. I mean, come on, Akaso, if you're going to pay over $100 for a video camera, give us some accessories. That's just crazy you're not doing it. I mean, GoPro does that, and GoPro really pisses me off, especially for the price that you pay for a camera like GoPro. And for them not to give you basic accessories like an accessory pack you can get off an Akaso or the Dragon Touch. Come on, ThiEye. That's just a little bit crazy. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we are going to we are going to go ahead and switch to 2.7K, and I'm going to show you the different field of views that you guys can expect out of 2.7K. Okay, now we are on the ThiEye shooting in 2.7K wide view. I made a mistake earlier and was shooting in the narrow mode, and I got that all messed up. So this is the wide view, and this is what you can expect with 2.7K. Now I'm not going to go through all the different settings, you know, a 2.7K 30 frames per second in medium, narrow, and wide view. None, you know, we're just going to show you into 60 frames per second. Then we're going to move to the 1080p. Also, this is an important thing here. Also, I've noticed whenever shooting in 4K and 2.7K, or even 1080p at 60 frames per second or higher, this thing heats up like mad. Be careful. It's already shut off on me once for overheating, so you're going to want to factor that into any of the videos you make with this camera. So now let's go ahead and jump to the medium view. I gotta drink my coffee. Man, these lights are hot. Hey, you notice, guys, I got myself a new hat. Now, I wanted something for summer. My black felt hat was more for fall, winter, and spring. This is more of a spring, summer, warmish hat. Believe it or not, this is a straw hat. You probably can't tell because it doesn't look like a straw hat, but it's super light and it's a great hat. Back to this camera. Okay, we are now shooting in 2.7K in its medium view, so it's not the wide and it's not the narrow. This is a medium view, but notice it's gotten rid of some of the warping on the outside edge. You could probably vlog with this. Remember, right there I'm touching it, so you know, it's a little further away than it would be if you were vlogging, but if you're using it for a YouTube camera, you know, like what I use my 90D for, or my M50, this is what you can expect out of the ThiEye. Just remember, it doesn't have image stabilization in anything but 1080p, 60 frames per second, and below. That's it. So now we're going to go ahead and jump to the narrow view in 2.7K. Okay, we are now shooting in 2.7K, 60 frames per second, and this is the wide view. Now, I'm not going to show you the wide view, medium view, and narrow view in 60 and 30 frames per second because it's the same. We're just changing frame rate. I'm just gonna show you all the different views in 60 frames per second, and then we're going to go ahead and move to 1080p. But this is what it looks like in 2.7K at 60 frames per second in the wide view. Now, they do have a view right in between 4K and 2.7K. It's 2.7K 4:3 view. If you want that view, say you're doing a video for like TikTok or some other, I'm not familiar with the other formats besides YouTube, you do get that 4:3 aspect on this camera. We are now shooting on the ThiEye in 1080p, 120 frames per second. In 120 frames per second, just like in 60 frames per second or 30 frames per second, you get wide, medium, and narrow view. There is no super view in 1080p. I'm not going to show you all the different fields of view in all the different speeds in 1080p. I'll just show you the different fields of view. So next we're going to go ahead and jump to 1080p, 60 frames per second, and we'll go to the medium view so you guys can take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, we are now shooting in 1080p, 60 frames per second, and this is now its medium view. The last one was 1080p, 120 frames per second in its wide view. And remember, there is no ultra wide view in 1080p. Now, one thing that did become available in 1080p, 60 frames per second is image stabilization. But, and here's where I get really frustrated with this camera. Okay, here we are, shooting in 1080p, 60 frames per second. But the problem with shooting in 1080p, 60 frames per second, or even 30 frames per second, you lose all the other fields of view. You have one field of view, that's it, and that is wide. So I'm not going to show you 1080p 30 frames per second because it'd be dumb for me to do it. There are no other fields of view except this one right here, what you're seeing right now. And the funny thing is, this and 1080p 30 frames per second are the only fields of view. It might even give it to you in the lower 720p, but these are the fields of view that I finally get image stabilization in. So again, I love the image I'm getting out of this camera. What I don't like is the fact that they cut out a lot of the features in 2.7K, 4K, hell, even in 1080p. I mean, it's just crazy. You know, a lot of people vlog in 1080p. They don't vlog in 4K. So when they're vlogging in 1080p, they want to have a narrow field of view, at least a medium field of view. This super wide view is not what people want to vlog in. So come on, ThiEye. I mean, wow. And you're charging, you know, upwards of $140 for this camera. I just don't see it. I'm telling you what, guys, I'm going to be getting rid of this camera. I'll probably just give it away, but as it is right now, I am not digging this camera. Just my thoughts. You know, I'm sure that someone else out there probably will love this camera, but the way I look at it, for what they're asking for this camera, it's just missing way too many features. I mean, not having a touchscreen on the back. Really? I mean, that's a $40 camera thing, you know? Once you start getting into the $80 to $60, $70, $80 cameras, you start getting touchscreens on the back. Come on, ThiEye, come on. And just the fact that you have no image stabilization at all in 2.7K or 4K, none whatsoever, is just mind-boggling. I just don't get it. So, anyways, guys, here you go, 1080p, 60 frames per second in wide view. Again, I'm not going to show you 1080p, 30 frames per second because it looks exactly like this. Okay, well, you got to see exactly what it looked like shooting through the ThiEye 4K action camera. The one thing that I'm really noticing right now holding this for you, and it's been about 15 minutes since I shot the video, is this thing is super hot. It shut down once on me from overheating, so be wary of that. Know that this thing is going to heat up on you. None of my other action cameras heat up like this one does. Isn't it funny how a lot of Sony cameras have a heating up issue, and now this one is too. Maybe it's the sensor they use? I don't know. But just be aware that this camera is going to heat up on you. Okay, I hope you all liked the video, and like I said, I am going to do another video hopefully in the next couple days showing you all the different settings on the camera, how to navigate through them. And I do want to take it outside, let you guys see what it looks like. I'm not going to go through all the different modes, but I'll do a 4K and a 2.7K, and I might even do it. I'm going to have to do 1080p because I want you all to see the image stabilization on it, and of course the only way to do that is in 1080p. So be looking for that video. Also, don't forget, I'm going to have a drawing here within the next couple of weeks. My wife is almost done with the quilt that she's going to be giving away. If you guys are following me on my Telegram channel, I've been uploading pictures and stuff like that to the channel so that you all can see how far that she's along with that quilt. Also, I've decided that I am going to be giving away 2 items this time around. It's going to be the quilt, and it's going to be my PC camera, the one that I showed you guys a little while back. But I'm going to have 2 items that we're going to give away. It's going to be the quilt and a webcam for a PC, a pretty damn good one. It does shoot in 1080p, and it's just a nice webcam. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do this, but the reason I decided to go with 2 as opposed to just giving away 1 item is because some of you live outside the US, and if you win this drawing, I want to be able to give you something. So the person that gets drawn, if they live outside the US, I'm going to give them the camera. If they live inside the US, I'm going to give them the quilt, and then I will give the next person's name I draw the camera. So with that being said, now I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you all for watching. Be looking for the next video, and if you're new to the channel, do all the like, share, and subscribe stuff, and I will see you all on the next one.